The following video gives various joint movements followed by definitions of the movement and examples. We have related all of the examples to playing a soccer game, which will hopefully allow for better overall understanding for you, especially if you can relate to them.
Flexion is moving a part of the body, usually a limb, from anatomical position closer to another bone to reduce the angle between two bones that converge at a joint. Extension is the opposite because the angle between two bones actually increases. It refers to moving a part of the body from a bent position to an anatomical position. In addition, hyperextension is extension of a limb greater than it normally moves. All three of these movements often occur with the hip, shoulder, and neck joints, although they are possible with other joints, especially with flexion and extension. For example, in a soccer game, Brooke would use all three of these joint movements when she heads the ball. When the ball is about to hit her head, Brooke would hyperextend her neck before flexing it. This allows her to hit the ball with a large amount of force. Then she would extend her neck when she returns her head to its normal position after she finished with heading the ball. Also, a player would use flexion and extension to shoot or pass their soccer ball by flexing the knee joint before the shot or pass and then extending the knee joint to make contact with the ball. Hyperextension would not occur when passing a ball.
Inversion is a twisting motion of the foot turning the sole inwards. The opposite of this motion is eversion, where the sole of the foot turns outward. For example, a soccer player would use this motion to make a move or cut around a player. Inversion would occur when the player cuts inward, and eversion would occur when the player cuts outward.
Protraction is when a body part moves forward, and retraction is the opposite, when a body part moves inwards. For example, protraction would occur in a soccer game when girls are standing in front of a penalty kick. To protect their ladies, they would cross their arms in front of their chest in case the ball would hit them, which protract their clavicles. Retraction occurs in a soccer game when a defender is in the goal box and doesn't want to get a handball by accident. The player would place their hands behind their back, causing the clavicles to retract. Depression is when a structure moves downward or inferiorly, and elevation is when a structure moves upward superiorly.
For example, depression occurs when a player is shocked her teammate got a red card. Elevation occurs when the player closes their mouth after the ref tells the player to stop the complaining.
Opposition is the movement of the thumb toward the palm or pads of other fingers. For example, opposition may occur in a soccer game when a coach is communicating with his players. When Megan saves a shot on goal, Coach Alexander would give her the OK symbol to let her know what an awesome job she's doing.
Internal rotation, also known as medial or inward rotation, involves the rotation of a limb towards the center of the body. Likewise, external or lateral rotation refers to the rotation of a limb away from the center of the body. These types of rotation can be found in movements by the legs and arms. For example, external rotation comes from trapping a soccer ball with the inside of the foot. The leg must rotate to the outside so that the toes are pointing laterally. This allows for the ball to be trapped by the inside of the foot. In the end, once the ball has been trapped, internal rotation occurs when moving the foot back to its normal, straightforward position so that the player can then dribble the ball. Circumduction is moving a limb in a circular manner. This generally occurs where there are ball and socket joints, so the movement can occur in arms or legs. For example, within a soccer game, the goalie, Megan, uses this type of movement when throwing the soccer ball to her teammate, Brooke, after saving it. In throwing the ball, Megan starts with it in her hand all the way behind her back. Then she brings it up and over her head, releasing it at the proper moment to throw it to Brooke.
Abduction is the motion of moving a limb away from the midline of the body in the frontal plane. This motion can occur in joints of the hip, shoulder, and fingers when they are spread apart. For example, in a soccer game, the goalie, Megan, uses the motion of abduction when she reaches both arms away from the midline of the body to catch the soccer ball from going into the net. Adduction is the motion of pulling a limb towards the midline of the body in the frontal plane. This motion can occur in joints of the hip, shoulder, and fingers when they are spread apart. For example, when there is a penalty kick, 3 or 4 girls line up 10 yards from the kicker and are shoulder to shoulder, where their arms are added to the side of their body and closer to the midline of the body. Supination is the motion of rotating the palm upward relating to the anatomical position. For example, in a soccer game, the referee may call some incorrect
Knock it
calls.
off, 22.
Consequently,
What?
the player will rotate her palm to face up to question why the ref made the call. Pronation is the motion of rotating the palm from facing front to facing back. For example, when Coach Alexander calls for number 12 to get out onto the field, they must jump up from the bench and rush to the field, and the player must turn its palms back to push themselves off the bench.